In 1980, The Shining was released. But do you know that there is an alternative ending we will never see? In the original final scenes of the movie, Wendy and her son Danny escapes the hotel and her crazy husband Jack in a blizzard. Jack then freezes to death after succumbing to madness. The movie ends with a camera zooming into a 4th of July party photograph on the hotel wall. Jack is in the center of the image, smiling among other guests. But the thing is, how is Jack in an image from 1921 if the events of the movie takes place around the late 70s and early 80s? There are two main theories, one from fans and the other one from Stanley Kubrick himself. I like the fan theory better, which is that Jack was absorbed by the hotel's supernatural forces after he died. Stanley Kubrick offered a reincarnation theory instead. According to him, Jack is the reincarnation or echo of past caretakers. He is a key part of the hotel's continuous pattern of violence. The reincarnation theory begins to make sense if you remember Jack's conversation with Grady in the bathroom. The butler tells Jack that Jack has always been the caretaker of the hotel. Now here is the alternative ending that got deleted by Kubrick. The reason we never got this ending is that it didn't test well with audiences and was scrapped. Kubrick, being a perfectionist, decided to erase those scenes entirely from existence. The only reason we even know about this alternative ending is because of the script and photographs taken by Vivian Kubrick, Stanley's daughter. In this alternative ending, we get a couple scenes after Jack's death. Stuart, the manager of the hotel, visits Wendy and Danny in the hospital after they escaped the hotel. When he gets to the reception of the hospital, Danny is playing snakes and ladders with a nurse. Stuart then goes to talk to Wendy in her room. He tells her they thoroughly searched the entire hotel and couldn't find any of the supernatural things she spoke about or that anything was out of the ordinary. He asks Wendy if she has any place to live after she leaves the hotel. She says no and he invites her to come stay at his beach house in LA till she gets back on her feet, which I think is pretty weird. He's not a friend or a family member, so inviting her to live in his house sounds off to me. When Stuart was leaving the hospital, he also threw a tennis ball to Danny. This was the same ball that was rolled to him earlier in the film. The ending is really confusing. I am not surprised that it was scrapped. For the Kubrick film, we couldn't get any clips from the movie. They are lost forever. But luckily for us, some of the films mentioned in this video have clips we can see. In 1987, Quentin Tarantino directed, edited, co-wrote and co-produced a 1987 amateur comedy film titled My Best Friend's Birthday. The film was shot in black and white. Online you can find only 36 minutes of the movie. It was originally meant to have a runtime of 70 minutes, but some rolls of film were mistakenly discarded, so the project was left unfinished. Tarantino made the film while he was working at a video rental store. The plot for the film was simple. It's about two best friends. One of the friends is Mickey and the other is Clarence. Quentin Tarantino plays the Clarence character.
Come again?
Price, my price.
Oh, your price! Price.
Yeah.
So the story is that it's Mickey's birthday and his girlfriend just left him.
Oliver, I want you to meet one of my oldest friends, Mickey. Mickey, this is one of my newest friends, Oliver Brandon. Why, Mickey, call me up sometimes and we'll talk.
So Clarence, Mickey's best friend, shows up to give him a birthday he will never forget. The other cast in the film were his co-workers from the video store where he worked and friends from his acting classes. I wonder if Tarantino will ever complete this film. Maybe he could use it as an encore. He completes it and releases the film as the final one to wrap up his great career.
That's for goats.
Cut.
Who has seen the new trailer for Wicker starring Alexander Skarsgård and Olivia Colman? It looks pretty interesting. I'm gonna be tuning in. But before this 2026 version, there was another film released in 1973. The movie is The Wicker Man. The original negative of this film's 99-minute director's cut was lost for a while. The story is that there was a huge studio battle. The movie was initially funded by a small studio called British Lion under the leadership of Peter Snell. But the studio had financial issues, so it was bought out by shareholder Michael Dilley. But Dilley hated the film and wanted to bury it. But first, he sent a print of the film to Roger Corman, who was a popular film producer at the time. He suggested cutting the film down instead of just scrapping it. The studio heads agreed and the film was cut down to 87 minutes and released. Dilley wasn't satisfied with just cutting the film down because he ordered a bunch of old film stock to be destroyed, and The Wicker Man was one of those films. The story doesn't end here though. In 2013, Studio Canal launched a restoration campaign to find the missing material from the film. Luckily, they discovered a 92-minute 35mm print at the Harvard Film Archive, so they were able to have a new theatrical release and also a home media release titled The Wicker Man Final Cut. This is the most complete version of the film available. The final cut is 91 minutes long. It is shorter than the director's cut by about 8 minutes, but longer than the theatrical cut. Christopher Lee, who starred in the film, said there was at least a full 10 minutes of the film still missing even after the reconstruction. But even with the incomplete story, The Wicker Man is still a great film. Christopher Lee even said that this was the best film he ever made. This is great praise because Lee was in great films like Dracula, The Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars. Easy Rider is a film that gets me a little bit sad. Before I tell you why, let me tell you a little synopsis about the movie. The movie was released in 1969 at the height of the psychedelic craze in America. In fact, the movie was released 1 month after the famous Woodstock Festival in New York that over 450,000 people attended. The festival was a massive celebration of music and peace, and of course, there was heavy psychedelic use. In that year, US social tensions were also at an all-time high. President Richard Nixon's administration increased its campaign against drugs and started cracking down with legal measures. These measures by Nixon's administration laid the groundwork for the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that criminalized psychedelics and ended clinical research. So now, you have an idea of the landscape where the film was released. The film is about two free-spirited bikers, Billy and Wyatt, played by the director Dennis Hopper and producer Peter Fonda. The film follows Billy and Wyatt as they ride through America and the characters they encounter along the way. In an interview with the BBC, Hopper explained that he wanted to make a movie about what was happening in America at that moment. He was making a social commentary on what was going on. So instead of making a film about the American Civil War, the Korean War, or slavery like other studios, he made a film about what was really going on at that moment. In the film, Billy and Wyatt come across several interesting characters and communities, like an alcoholic civil rights lawyer played by Jack Nicholson and a hippie commune. So why did Easy Rider make me sad? You see, about 80 hours were shot for the film. These shots were mostly bike riding and some extra scenes. 80 hours is 4,800 minutes. That's very, very long. So Hopper cut the movie into 3 different versions. One version was 240 minutes. The other 2 were 220 and 180 minutes. But they were all considered too long for a cinema release, so the studio cut it down to 96 minutes. Only this 96-minute version exists today. The scenes that were cut are now believed to be lost due to a fire. The only reason we even know about these extra scenes are a small number of production photos. I know you guys watching are sad or even sadder than me about this loss, but here is a fun fact to make you guys feel better. To make the film extra realistic, Peter Fonda and Jack Nicholson took liberal amounts of drugs and alcohol during the shoots. Nicholson told Time magazine in 1970 that he smoked about 155 joints during multiple takes of a scene where his character was introduced to marijuana by the bikers. The scenes were directed in a documentary style, so the actors were usually high or stoned during filming and had to improvise dialogue. That film set was either very fun or extremely chaotic. Another famous director released a film in the early years of his career that is now almost completely lost. At the age of 17, Steven Spielberg wrote and directed a 135-minute sci-fi epic titled Firelight. According to the Lost Media Wiki, the film centered around a group of scientists in a fictional town in Arizona. The scientists begin to witness strange colored light in the sky before a series of bizarre disappearances take place. Animals, humans, and even inanimate objects were vanishing. The film also had subplots like one of the scientists trying to prove to the CIA that aliens were real. Firelight also had a twist ending. At the end of the film, 3 aliens represented by shadows descend on Earth with a plan to abduct the entire town for the purpose of creating a human zoo back on their home planet of Altaris. I wasn't expecting that ending at all. The movie was shown just once at a local theater for an audience of 500. Spielberg made the film for $500 and each ticket was sold for $1. He made $501 at the end of the night. Somebody probably paid $2, so his profit was $1. Years after this screening, Spielberg sent his only 2 copies of the film to a producer to showcase his skills. At this time, Spielberg was still job hunting in Los Angeles. However, 1 week later, the company where the producer worked went bankrupt and the producer vanished along with Spielberg's reels. To this day, the reels have not been found. Only around 3% of the movie survives today. I doubt the reels will ever be found because with how famous Spielberg's career is, the only reason I can think of why the producer hasn't brought back those reels, even if it was for a finder's fee, is that he doesn't have it. Firelight sounds very interesting to me. Same as the other movies in this video. As I researched this video, it felt like cinema has lost a lot of gems, either because of carelessness, unfortunate disasters, and in some cases, people's ego. Okay, I've come to the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed it, do like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1K subscribers this month. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye for now.